House of the Dragon premieres on HBO and Crave TV in Canada on Sunday, and I have your spoiler-free review of the new series. This is a Game of Thrones prequel set about 200 years at the beginning, before anything happens in Game of Thrones, and that's talking about really the Mad King's downfall. So this is a long way in the history of the series. So basically, the first episode, and a lot of what the whole thing is talking about, is the fact that there's a king, and he has no successor, and so he chooses Lord Viserys as his successor, a Targaryen. From there, the problem becomes that the new king, has no successor himself. He has a daughter, Princess Rhaenyra, and the problem is that, as we've seen in Game of Thrones before, they want kings, and certainly when you have dragons, maybe you can force a kingdom to accept a queen, as we saw in Game of Thrones, or we saw it trying to happen. But in this, there's a real fight. The other houses are very against it, I would say. So in the first episode, we're getting a lot of the politics and a lot of the other things that are going on in this world at the time. And Rhaenyra is obviously not thrilled. She doesn't see why she can't become the queen, as we as audience members probably agree with her. And there is some hope for a new king, an heir to the throne, a boy. However, as these things go in Game of Thrones and now House of the Dragon, the catch being that things don't go as planned. So I'm not going to spoil any of that. I think from the trailers you can probably surmise that things don't go as planned. That's the entire reality of Game of Thrones. But the whole point from this first episode going forward through the series is, will there be a queen? Will she become, the queen of Westeros? I think the series handles all of this really well. I love the fact that we've got a really strong cast, and one of the strongest cast members, as no surprise to anyone who's seen him in anything else. Matt Smith is phenomenal as Daemon Targaryen. He is a force to be reckoned with. He is a little scary, but the funny thing is there's lots of points where you're watching and you're kind of rooting for him. He is a bad guy you kind of like, and it's interesting to see that he seems to be a force that is going to tear apart the house, perhaps. He's the brother to the king, and they don't have the best relationship. And over the course of the first 3 or 4 episodes, I've seen about 6 so far, it's really impressive to see how things shift between the family. And one of the comments in the very first episode is, the only thing that could probably tear House Targaryen apart is House Targaryen itself. So as we've seen from Game of Thrones, if you're a fan already, things probably don't end well. We'll have to see where things go. I really enjoyed the series. I think the first episode is a little long. There's a little too much politics maybe, but that sets up a lot of things, and it's kind of integral to the reality of what we're watching, which is a feud between the royal family. And there's lots of names and points in history that you're going to recognize. There's the Lannisters are here. Obviously not the Lannisters we knew from Game of Thrones. But on the flip side of all this, I will say, you don't have to be a Game of Thrones fan to watch the series. I think there's a lot of stuff here that Game of Thrones fans will love, and it feels very much part of that entire world and reality. But the truth is, you don't have to have watched it or read the books to get into this. It sets things up very simply. You get a sense of what's going on. There's epic dragons. There's lots of stuff. It looks like the world that we've seen before. But, you don't need to go through a history lesson of Game of Thrones to watch this series. They will explain everything to you and take it from there. And really, this is before Game of Thrones. There's nothing... This sets up that reality of what comes next, but there's nothing necessarily in here that you have to know anything from before. It will help. There's certainly some stuff that, there's a learning curve, but yeah, it's a great series. I think it takes into episode 2 and 3 to really stick this world and show you what's happening and give you some of the best moments with this cast, because it is a phenomenal cast. All of the cast is great, but I will say Matt Smith maybe shines the best. And you can tune in starting on Sunday, 9 p.m., HBO and Crave in Canada. And I will say, watch for a few surprises. Certainly some maybe won't be huge surprises to fans of Game of Thrones. But there's a few twists and turns even in the first 3 episodes that are fun to watch. Thank you very much for watching.